Hey friends, let's get moving. For today's class, you're going to need to bring a little heavy reading with you. And by heavy reading, I just mean find maybe the biggest, thickest book that you have. So this one is Europe, A History by Norman Davies. And I weighed it on my kitchen scale. It's about 3.5 pounds. So think about what your home library consists of and think about the state of your arms and shoulders, and then you can decide on which book to bring with you to class today. And optional is a blanket. If you prefer to have a little padding under your knees, then you'll want to have that blanket. So to get started, come on down to the ground. We're going to just circle out the wrists. And this is in preparation for coming onto our hands and knees. Maybe shake out your hands, spread your fingers, make a fist, spread your fingers, make a fist, get your spirit fingers, jazz hands. Now go ahead and come to all fours and spread your fingers nice and wide so you can see the color of the ground between each finger. And there's some variation here that I can offer. So one way to do this is to have your shoulders directly over your wrists. And that's gonna put the most load on your hands and wrists. So if you want less load on your hands and wrists, back your shoulders away from your wrists. And you can even, if you really want low impact, you can really just kind of kneel and put your hands on the ground in front of you. So here's what we're gonna do. By pressing into your long extended fingers, you're gonna lift your wrists up away from the ground. Lift the heel of the hand up away from the ground, and then really slowly lower the heels of the hands back down to the ground. So again, keeping your fingers really long, press through your fingers to lift your heels of your hands up off the mat and slowly lower. So we're gonna keep going here. Now, one thing that I will caution you against is it's going to be a little less effective if you let your this knuckle area, if you let that collapse. So you want to keep a long line between your extended knuckles. So you don't want it to be kind of this hyperextended position. And the slower you can lower down, the better. Keeping the fingers really long without bending at the knuckle. And I have the tendency to start to, when I get a little tired here, I start to claw the ground with my fingers. So really try to avoid that too. Notice if you have that tendency and just really try to keep the fingers so long and strong. Let's do one more. Great. Okay, get off your hands, shake it out. Ooh, that's actually so hard. It's such a small movement, but it's so hard. So important though for developing strong and resilient wrists. So we're gonna come back into all fours, and if your wrists are like, I'm done, Jen. After that one, you can feel free to be on your fists. It is your choice. Just make sure your elbow creases are pointing forward. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. And we're gonna start with some scapular retraction push-ups. So you're gonna squeeze your shoulder blades in towards your spine without collapsing through the spine or through the rib cage. So you wanna keep your spine pretty neutral. And then you're gonna push through your hands so that the shoulder blades move away from one another, okay? So shoulder blades in towards the spine, mellow rib cage, long neck, and then push through your hands so the shoulder blades move apart. And even as the shoulder blades move apart, elbow creases are still pointing forward. So now we're gonna add on here a little bit. So when you push and the shoulder blades come away from the spine, hang out there, and then you're gonna bend your elbows straight back towards your legs as you lower your head any amount towards the ground. Press the arms straight again. Squeeze the shoulder blades in towards the spine. Press through the hands so the shoulder blades move apart. Elbows bend, straight back, tricep lower. Hello, bat wings. And straighten your arms. And again, shoulder blades in towards the spine. Push shoulder blades apart. Elbow creases forward. Bend the elbow straight back, lower your head any amount. Straight arms. Squeeze the shoulder blades in towards the spine. Push through the hands, shoulder blades move apart. Tricep lower here, elbows point straight back, head comes down. Press the arms straight. Shoulder blades in towards the spine. Press the shoulder blades apart, push through the hands. Bend your elbows straight back, lower your head. Woo. One more time. Shoulder blades in towards the spine. Push through your hands, shoulder blades move apart. Elbows bend straight back, head lowers down. Woo. And press straight. And now let's go ahead and drop down onto the forearms. And scoot the knees back. So you're coming into a modified plank position. And so this is one variation. You can keep your knees on the ground. And the other variation is to lift the knees up. So notice I have the tops of my feet on the ground as opposed to curling the toes under. So now wherever you are, if your knees are up or if your knees are down, go ahead and lower your hips to the ground. Lift your gaze, look up with your eyes, take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, push through your legs and lift your pelvis back up into that forearm plank. Inhale, set your hips down. Maybe your knees are already down. Lift your chest, look up, take a big breath. Exhale, forearm plank. Inhale, lowering the pelvis. Exhale. Feel the belly engage naturally as you exhale and go to move the hips up. When you come into the forearm plank, your gaze moves towards the ground between your forearms. Last one. And lift up. For 3, 2, and 1. If your knees are up, drop them down. Wherever you are, shift your hips back and walk your knees back towards your elbows. And then just keep your forearms parallel and your elbows in, so you don't want your elbows to scooch out on either side. And just floss your shoulders backward and forward. And now, so our palms are facing down, turn the palms to face up and try again. Try gluing your fingernails to the ground. A little bit more challenge here. One more. Great. Okay, go ahead and plant your hands. Come up to all fours. Now, we're going to be coming into a low lunge. So if you want that padding under your knees, grab your blanket. I'm going to go ahead and set that up. So come up into a kneeling position. Oh, it feels good to get off the arms, doesn't it? Give the shoulders a break. So starting with a neutral pelvis. So that's pubic bone and hip point, the ASIS, in a line. We're going to try to keep that neutral pelvis. So unneutral pelvis could look like this, where the pubic bone is pointing forward of the hip points. It could also look like this. Now these are really extreme examples, but here the pubic bone is behind the hip points. So we want it to be a vertical plane here. And so you'll have to sense below any lovable soft tissue there on your lower abdomen to your bone structure, okay? Drop the ribs. And now we're gonna take the right foot forward into a lunge. So from here, you're gonna put your hands on your your upper belly, right underneath your rib cage, soft shoulders, keep your chin in a line with your sternum, and you're gonna swivel twist from side to side. So your arms and shoulders are not working to move you into the twist, nor is your head. It's all coming from your waist. Soft shoulders. Now, swivel twist into one direction, whichever one you want, and hold there for a moment. So I'm facing the right, and I'm gonna take a big breath in and exhale to see if I can swivel twist any amount more. And I did. There was just a little bit of room left. So now come back to your movement, come back to your swivel twist. Okay, and here we go over to the other side. So swivel to the other side. Okay, and then draw in a deep breath. As you exhale, see if there's any more room. Ooh, just a little bit. And swivel twist. Okay, great. Come back to center. You can release your hands down. Bring your right knee back underneath your hip. Take a full breath in and out. See how you feel. Great. Now come back to your neutral pelvis. Okay. Pubic bone and hip bones vertical. And we're going to step the left leg forward. So coming into a low lunge here. So your hip points, if they were headlights, they're still shining straight forward, okay? We don't have one headlight angling over to the side. The hips are staying really stationary. And then again, drop your ribs, okay? And you can bring your hands to your low belly. So here we go, swivel twists again. And here we are, as we are here on the second side, you can maybe give a little bit more attention to the feeling of the movement and the sensations in your body now that you kind of already know what to do. So as your waist is rotating you from side to side, can you feel any connection to other parts of the body? So for example, in my body, when I swivel twist to the left, I can feel a tugging kind of at the front of my right hip. It feels like there's a connection there. And I know from my knowledge of the body that yes, there is a connection there. So that's always validating. So go ahead and pick a side and twist to that side. And then pause there and draw in a deep breath, making sure that the ribs stay down. They can still expand without angling up, okay? And then as you exhale, see if there's any more room, just a little bit. And then come back to your swivel twist. And let's go over to the other side. Okay, while you're there, take a deep breath. And exhale. Is there any more room? Not really. And swivel a few more times from side to side. Great. And back to center. Relax your hands. Step your left knee back. Okay, take a full breath in and out. Now, here's where you need a book. So I'm calling this the book exchange because I am a dork. Okay, so you're gonna start by holding your book in both hands. You're in that kneeling position, neutral pelvis, ribs dropped, all that good stuff. And you're gonna extend the book out in front of you. So the name of the game here is that we're gonna try to keep our elbow creases pointing up for this whole book exchange process. Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna take the book into our left hand as we open both arms out wide. Okay, elbow creases still up. And then bring the hands back together and exchange the book into your right hand. Okay, so then after you've done left, right, and you have the book back in front of you again, you're gonna keep your body really rigid and you're gonna lean back any amount, feeling the fronts of the thighs heat up, and then press yourself back up. And you don't have to turn sideways. I just did that to show you. Left hand gets the book, and then right hand gets the book. And then you bring the book back to the center and lean back. Elbow creases pointing up. Left hand, exchange to the right hand, back to center, lean back. Keep breathing. And at some point, you're probably gonna wish that you didn't listen to me and you chose a lighter book. That's okay. Lean back in between. Keep your elbow creases pointing up, and the shoulders are soft away from the ears. If you start to get tired, then you might feel these muscles here starting to engage to try to help you out. And if that's the case, I would rather you just put the book down and go through the motions with soft shoulders. So it's your choice. I'm thinking 2 more rounds and then that's enough. So here we go. This is 2. Lean back. Last one. Elbow creases up, finish strong. Lean back. Okay, thanks Norman Davies. You can go ahead and put your book back down. Okay, we're gonna stay in all fours for just a moment, but I do need to scooch over so that I have enough room. So, let me move my book. Here in all fours, you're gonna take your left leg straight out to the side, so your right knee is in a line with the arch of your left foot. And try pointing this left hip crease down towards the ground. So maybe you can, as you do that, as you orient your pelvis towards the ground, you can already start to feel some sensation on the inner thighs. So we're gonna keep that orientation of the pelvis, keep a nice long spine, neutral pelvis here, and we're gonna rock back any amount and forward any amount. And again, if your wrists are pretty tired from the work we did already, feel free to be up on your fists instead. Just saying hello to the inner thighs here. One more this way. Great. And so bring your left knee in and let's switch to the other side. So you can just stick your right leg out, but I don't have enough room to do that, so I'm gonna turn around. So right leg comes out, the left knee is in a line with the arch of the right foot, and we're gonna, before we rock, make sure that you're angling your pelvis towards the ground. So you don't want your pelvis to be kind of stacked open. You're gonna drop that right hip point towards the ground, maybe already feeling some sensation on the inner thigh. And you're gonna rock back and forward any amount. Try to really keep this right foot on the ground as you go. One more here. Great. Okay, bring your right knee back underneath you. Now you can get your blanket out of the way, but do have your book close by. Okay, so come to sit kind of in the middle of your mat. And from here, extend your legs. Now we're gonna try to roll down to the back as slowly with as much control as we can. Maybe visualizing that you're moving one vertebra at a time. Now, there might come a point where you start to get back and you think, oh dear, this is as far as I can go, and you just have to fall the rest of the way. That's okay. Try to make it as graceful as you can. So here we go. I'm gonna take my arms out in front of me. So I'm gonna start by curling my tailbone under, okay? So I start sitting upright on my sit bones, but then I rock my pelvis back and I'm kind of behind my sit bones. It's almost as if my tailbone is reaching now to dig into the ground. Look, I'm bringing my mat with me. So I'm going really slowly here, digging my tailbone like it's a spade into the ground, and really rounding through the spine to try to get the next part of my pelvis, which is my sacrum, down on the ground first. And then once my sacrum is down, that's when the quaking starts. Then lower back. And if your legs start to pop up, just try to keep them down. Okay, there's the lower back. Lowering with control, mid back. And even resisting into the head to go one vertebra at a time. Oh, we made it. Whether you made it with a slow controlled lower or a graceful plop, welcome to the ground. Congratulations. Okay, so from here, we're gonna get the book and you're gonna hold it in both hands so that when it's kind of resting down by your pelvis and your legs, your elbow creases are pointing up towards the ceiling. So you can hold your book short ways like this or wide. I think I'm gonna hold mine wide. I think that would feel better for me. So keep your elbow creases pointing up, and then you're gonna pull your book overhead. Now, as you go overhead, you might discover that your ribs want to pop up away from the ground. And I'm gonna say, please don't. Please keep your ribs mellow. So you can do that by pulling with your abs, okay? So using your upper abdominals to keep your ribs down, or you can simply only take the book over as far as it can go just before the ribs want to pop up. So it's your choice, and then you're going to lower it back down. So we're going to pull over, keeping the arms rotated in the same orientation. If you want to explore a little bit here, you can play around with taking the book straight back, which is what we're doing. And it might come to the ground and it might not. That's fine. Another option is to take the book back and over to the right. So it's kind of a diagonal. And you can go back and over to the left. So there's lots of variations. And I don't know if you can see, this is such a challenging thing for me that looks like it should be so simple, but my arms are shaking, and I know that this is a really beneficial exercise for my body. If you want to sync up your breath with your movement, you can. You can inhale to pull the book over and exhale to bring the book back down towards your pelvis. And again, feel free to play around with the different directions that you're pulling the book over. Keeping the ribs down, either by just not going as far with the book or by using your upper abs to kind of lock the rib cage in place. And the reason for that, the reason that we don't want the rib cage to participate here is that would indicate that we're doing kind of a back bend, and that would take some of the work away from the shoulders and distribute it to the spine. And for today's class, we really want to nourish our arms and our shoulders. So we're going to leave the spine where it is and leave the rib cage where it is. Okay, last one. Great. Okay, go ahead and put your book off to the side. Now, we're gonna try to get back upright with that slow controlled roll. I saw somebody call this a zombie curl up. So it is kind of like a zombie in slow motion. So you could start by taking your fingertips up towards the ceiling, wrists over your shoulders. And again, we're trying to peel our torso up away from the ground, one vertebra at a time. And so we're gonna start really intentionally with the neck. So begin by tucking the chin and lengthening out through the crown of the head. Try keeping your chin tucked like that and see if you can pick your head up away from the ground, maintaining the tuck in your chin. And then you start to lift your neck and your shoulders, going one vertebra at a time, imagining that you're holding that invisible grapefruit between your chin and your chest. I am going to run into a point where I feel like I can't talk. So I'm going to shush and I'm going to try to get up. Just go as high as you can. And when you feel like you can't go any higher, use your arms and get the rest of the way up. Is it going to work for me today? It's not going to work for me today, I don't think. Oop, maybe my feet want to come up. So I'm going to use my arms to push myself the rest of the way up. That's something I'm still working on. You can see how red my face got. I had to work so hard to get there. So however far up you can get is great. And the more you practice it, the more you'll get there. And we are going to do it a few more times, so you'll have more chances to practice. And you might find that after you've done it once, your muscles kind of know what to expect. And the connection between your brain and your muscles is stronger and truer. And those muscles will fire up more effectively the next time. So, okay, so from here, we're gonna come back into all fours. So if you want more padding under your knees, grab your blanket and set that up. Of course, you can be on your fists instead of your palms if you prefer. So here, just start playing around with picking up one hand away from the ground at a time. Make sure that you can maintain your stable table. And hopefully you can feel your abdomen turning on to support you. Okay, so pick up your left hand now and put it on the back of your head and have your elbow way out to the side. So don't point your elbow down towards the ground, point it way out to the left. And so we're gonna take a breath in and point the elbow down towards the ground by rotating the rib cage. So the whole left shoulder is coming down towards the ground. Neck stays long, and then as you exhale, come back to center, through center, and open up to the left any amount. Inhale, coming down into a twist. Exhale, untwisting, opening up to the left any amount. Feeling the muscles in your trunk and your waist, working to rotate and unrotate. One more. Great, let's switch sides. Come to center, put your left hand down, and then pick your right hand up and put it behind your head. Elbow points out to the side. So then inhale, drop your right shoulder to the ground, and that's gonna bring your right elbow down too. And then as you exhale, come back to center, through center, opening to the right, any amount, keeping your neck long. Inhale, coming into this passive twist. Exhale, through center and opening to the right. Feel the muscles of your trunk working to twist you and untwist you. Nice and slow. Let's do one more. And come back to center. Release your right hand down to the ground. Okay, so now that we've done the arms, now just see what happens if you pick up one knee and then the other knee. Just like we did with the hands a moment ago, hopefully you can feel that that your core muscles, your waist and your trunk and your abdominals are firing up to keep your torso stable in this position. Just picking up the knees one at a time. For 3, 2, and 1. Okay, now let's go ahead and transfer back onto our bottoms, and we're gonna put the zombie back to bed. So sit in the middle of your mat with your legs extended. Adjust your wardrobe as needed. And then from here, remember, we're gonna try going down to the back, one vertebra at a time. So having the arms out, starting by rocking the pelvis back. So imagining that your tailbone is like a spade, digging a little divot into the earth. Rolling through the pelvis. Breathing as you go. And remember, if you need to just flop, you go for it. And then once you get down, we're gonna go back up one more time. Okay, so starting with the neck and head, tuck the chin and pick up. She's alive. Just going up as high as you can. That's it for me. Whenever you get to where you're going, push with your hands and come back up. And then we're gonna go back down one more time. So if, like me, you're having trouble with getting up from your back, adding in these lowers can really help you to build the strength to be able to get up as well. So here we go, trying to go slowly with control, one vertebra at a time. Starting with the pelvis and the tailbone. Even when you get to the upper back, maintain the slow, controlled speed. Remember your neck. When you get down to your back. Go ahead and relax. If you need to straighten out your mat, go for it. Now we're gonna roll over to our right sides. Okay, so if you need something underneath your head, you can use your blanket, or you can just let your head hang down to the ground. It's your choice. So make sure that your left hip is stacked right on top of your right hip. So you don't want them to be forward, and you don't want to be stacked back either. And then so there's 90 degrees in your hips and in your knees. Okay, so I'm just gonna rest my hands together, and I'm gonna start by focusing on my legs. We've done so much work in this class today for our upper body. Now let's bring it down. Okay, so you're gonna imagine that your legs are like a suitcase. You're gonna lift your knee and your ankle on the left leg at the same pace, opening the suitcase. Now, as you lift your leg up in the air, be sure that your pelvis doesn't rock back. Okay, if you need help staying honest through your pelvis, back up and do this part right up against the wall or a couch. So you're just gonna lift the top leg as high as it wants to go while still keeping your pelvis in this starting position. Now, we're gonna tweak it a little bit. So you're gonna lift at the same speed, a nice kind of gradual speed, but now we're really gonna lower at a snail's pace, trying to keep the knee and the ankle level as best you can, going at a really, really slow lower here until your legs come back together, and then a normal speed for your lift, and really slow lower, as slowly as you can manage, okay? You might feel the quakes and the shakes. I certainly am. Okay, here we go. Last one. Really slow lower. You got this. Sometimes it feels like the bottom leg is never going to be there. Great. So let your legs relax together. Now coming up to focus on the upper body a little bit more, you're going to take your left hand and you're going to windmill up overhead, back around, and open. And as you take your left arm back behind you, your chest starts to open towards the ceiling, and then the left arm swoops down by the leg and comes back to starting touching the right palm. So you're just painting a big circle with the left hand, and as you do that, your chest is following your hand. So as your left hand comes back behind you, your chest opens up towards the ceiling. And as the left arm comes in front of your torso, your chest closes off again. So let's do one more this way. And this time, we're gonna pause back here. So with your left arm back behind you and your chest rotated open a bit, can you make sure first that your rib cage is pointing down towards your pelvis and not forward away from you? And after you've done that, then you can start to take your left arm, kind of toggle it, swivel it back and forth, up towards the ear, down towards the leg, in a smaller movement. So what I like to do is I like to feel where the point in the range of motion gives me the most stretch sensation. And it's, of course, a manageable stretch sensation. It's not like super huge or super intense. And so that's where I like to dose this movement. So for me, when my left arm is kind of out at this like 45 degrees back behind me, that's where I like to add the movement, because that's where I feel the most stretch in my chest. I feel the stretch in my chest I feel it a little bit in my left bicep. So pay attention to where you feel the stretch in your body as you move. For 3, 2, and 1. Okay, go ahead and take your arm down towards your leg and back to meet your right hand. Now we're going to come back to the legs. So to begin, keep your ankles and feet together and pick your left knee up towards the ceiling. So, okay, I lied. Your ankles come apart, but like the big toe side of your foot stays connected. You're gonna point your knee up towards the ceiling as high as you can go without displacing your pelvis. And then you're gonna bring your left knee back to meet the right. And then you're gonna keep the knees together and you're gonna lift the left foot up as high as it wants to go. And then bring the left foot down and then the left knee up. So we're doing external rotation and then the opposite, internal rotation. Go slowly. And if you would like to add a little challenge, one variation is to kind of resist yourself as you do this movement. So you can imagine that you're moving through hardening concrete. And you just have to kind of irradiate a little bit more tension through your muscles. One more each way. So this is the last time with the knee up. And then once the knees come back together, the foot lifts up. This is the last time for the foot to lift. And there, relax. Okay, so you can just roll over to the other side, but because I don't want my back to be to you, I'm going to get up and manually move over this way instead of just rolling. So here we go, down on the left side now. Getting cozy, getting comfy. Making sure that your right hip is stacked just above your left hip. You don't, again, want your top hip to be too far forward or too far back. And if you're unsure, it's always okay to scooch back against the wall for this first part. So I'm just gonna put my right hand and rest it on my left palm. We're gonna start with the suitcase. We're gonna open the suitcase. So you're gonna pick up your right leg away from your left leg, moving so that the knee and the ankle are kind of moving at the same pace, keeping your shin and your lower leg parallel to the ground. So as we lift the leg up away from the ground, the hips don't move. The pelvis doesn't move. We don't lift the leg up so high or with kind of a lack of control so that the pelvis tips back. The pelvis stays stacked. Right hip over the left hip. Okay, so now normal speed to lift and then snail speed to lower. Really, really slow. Trying to make sure that your knee and your ankle touch down at the same time. And then normal lift, slow lower. Keep breathing. Can you let all of the work in this exercise be down in your lower body? Can you let everything go from your shoulders, your neck, your jaw, your face? Last one. Slow lower. Doing well. And then when your knee and your ankle touch together, relax. Okay, so from here, yes, I have enough room. Okay, so from here, you're gonna take your right arm and paint a circle up overhead and back behind you. And then as you take your right arm back behind you, remember your chest opens, and then the right arm comes down towards the legs. And as the right arm comes back in front of you to touch to the left palm, your chest closes back off again. So we're just painting some big circles with the arm. You can go as quickly or as slowly as feels good for your body today. Now pay attention to the point in your arm movement where you feel the most stretch in your upper chest. And you can pause there with the arm back behind you. And then take a small movement of the arm to kind of tease out any tension that might be right there. Just taking the arm slightly up towards the head and slightly down towards the legs. Again, your rib cage is stacked over your pelvis, so it's not pointing forward. For 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and come back down with the right arm. Right palm meets the left palm. Take a full breath in and out. Okay, and so from here, now the feet stay together, but we're going to lift the right knee as high towards the ceiling as we can go without displacing the pelvis. And then the right knee comes back to the left knee and the knees stay together. And then the right foot lifts towards the ceiling as high as it can go. Feet together, knees apart, knees together, feet apart. So remember the variation of kind of resisting yourself, so you can add some tension to your movement, almost like you're having to move some cement or you're moving through cold honey, cold molasses. Keep breathing. So even though you are irradiating tension around your hip and your leg, can you keep your face relaxed? Can you keep your shoulders relaxed and your jaw soft? Can you just zero in here at the hips? Last knee towards the ceiling here. And then last time pointing the foot up towards the ceiling. And relax. Okay, so if you're close enough to your book that you don't have to really move around, great. But if you need to get up to locate your book, do that. If you need to put your mic pack back on, do that. Okay, mine doesn't want to go on. So we're going to come back down to the back for one last kind of working thing, and then we're going to mellow out a little bit. So when you get down to your back, you're going to take your legs up in the air. So one variation is to keep your legs straight up. Another variation is kind of a halfway to 90 degrees. Well, that is 45, isn't it? Or you can be here at 90 degrees, okay? So it's your choice, and you're gonna take your book in your hands, and you're going to reach the book over to the right. Now, as you're reaching over to the right, your shoulders, head, and neck curl up away from the ground. And then you're going to come back to center and then reach over to the left and back to center. Okay? Try to keep your chin tucked as you lift your head away from the ground. You can inhale to release to center. Exhale to reach to one side. And you can go quickly. Or you can go a little slower. Your choice. So if you've chosen the variation where your legs are straight up in the air, it's going to look like this. If you're at 45, it's going to look like this. For 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Okay, go ahead and rest your book on your low belly. Put your feet down so that you can reach your heels with your fingertips. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, lift your hips away from the ground. Inhale, back down. Exhale to lift. Keep going. For 3, 2, and 1. Last one. Okay, now take your book off your low belly and slide it underneath your pelvis and rest your pelvis on your book. So from here, you can keep your legs straight. Another variation is to you can keep your legs bent, or another variation is to extend your legs straight. Choose whichever position feels the most relaxing for you. And we're just going to take a few deep breaths and breathe here before we go about the rest of our day. So put your hands on your low belly, close your eyes, soften the front of your neck. And as you start to relax your body, let your hands feel the movement of your body as you breathe. Take 3 more breaths here. And after your third exhale, gently push into your feet, lift your hips up just enough that you can slide your book out from under you. Set your hips back down. And then maybe you want to give your knees a little hug. Rock a little bit from side to side. And then you can rock up or roll over and sit up. Wow, I hope you feel as good as I do right now. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.